So I thought I would tell you a little bit about my recent trip to India. I left in October, earlier than I had thought to, because the Department of Religion and Culture of the Tibetan government in exile, now called the Central Tibetan Administration, had called a meeting of Vinaya experts to research the possibility of introducing the Bhikshuni ordination into the Tibetan tradition. And they've had several conferences about this in previous years, but mostly it's been a few-day conference. People who may or may not be experts come, give papers, and after 3 or 4 days are asked to make a decision about an issue that's very complicated that they may or may not know a lot about. This time, what happened is, apparently His Holiness made some kind of remark in the spring teachings that the Department of Religion and Culture interpreted as giving them the authority to advance this cause. And so there's a new Kalan, or minister of, who took up the flag. And what they did is they convened a research committee that was going to research the issue for 3 months. So this was fantastic, instead of having just little bits here and there from people who may or may not know the Vinaya well. They were going to actually get people together and research the issue for 3 months. So they had 2 monks from each of the 4 Tibetan traditions, and then also 2 geshis who from Tibetan Nuns Project. Okay, so 10 monks all together. Most of them, I would say, were in their 40s, so they were, the younger generation. And they spent the 3 months together really researching this topic. And then midway through their research, Venerable Jamba Sedran received an email inviting the Western Bhikshunis to come and share our research. And this is the first time the DRC or anybody has asked the Western Bhikshunis to share our research. In most of the conferences we haven't been invited to. In one previous one, the Western Bhikshunis were invited, but as witnesses they couldn't participate. So here we were actually asked to share research. And Venerable Jamba Sedran's been doing research on this for 3 countless great eons, it seems like, and has a ton of research. The other members of the Committee for Bhikshuni Ordination, and by the way, there's a website by the name of Committee for Bhikshuni Ordination, and the Venerable Lakshay Soma, Venerable Kunga Chodron, and others, couldn't attend because they were busy. It was really inconvenient for me, but I changed all my plans because I felt like this was the first time they've ever invited us. We better show up. We can't not show up. And Jampa was able to go, and she, of course, needed, a companion and a friend and some support. So I went too, and it was a fantastic experience. I mean, Jampa has been researching the issue for so long, and even the night before her presentation, she was up late looking up references, and she found, this reference in Dharma Mitra and Gunaprabha about how the monks could give, Shikshamana ordination and Bhikshuni ordination, and this was like a huge breakthrough. They've been looking for this quotation for ages, and there she found it. Anyway, she had prepared a PowerPoint presentation, which she delivered, to them. The meeting started out with the secretary of the DRC coming, and he was a very nice gentleman, and kind of explained to us that, this was strictly based on research. It wasn't about we shouldn't be expressing opinions of, why they should do it, or, push them in any way, but simply present research, which was our basic intention to start with. And so Jampa gave this PowerPoint presentation. Now, they had never seen a PowerPoint presentation before. So they were blown away by it. And she had it beautifully done in Tibetan, you know, kind of outlined with the important points outlined. And she started out very nicely introducing, you know, the Committee for Bhikshunis and how His Holiness had asked her to form it, and the previous meetings and different things that had happened. There's even a picture of the Abbey in there. Remember when the nuns came here, you know, I think it was in '06, and we met here. So she started out with that, and then she got into the subject of the 18 schools and the 3 extant Vinaya traditions, and then went into, you know, the 2 options for giving it, that either the Mula Shrivastava monks of the Tibetan tradition give it alone, or the Mula Shrivastava Tibetan monks and the Chinese Dharmaguptaka nuns give it. And she went into all of that and explained it beautifully, and she's fluent in Tibetan, so she's just going blah, 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 blah. You know, I catch one word here and there, so I was basically studying the body language and facial expressions and, you know, kind of checking out what was going on. And they were really taking it in. I think they've never heard a presentation from a nun before, and they were a bit shocked by how articulate and brilliant she is, you know. And so she gave the presentation in the morning. Then in the afternoon, we spent discussing, and so the monks were asking her all sorts of questions, and she was responding. And then the second day, I gave my presentation on Gompa Rabsal, and the precedent for in Tibet itself for having an ordination by Sangha from different Buddhist traditions, and also the precedent for making exceptions in special occasions so that, you know, a lineage can continue. And then I also gave a short presentation about the benefits that it would bring the Tibetan community. And one of the monks commented to me afterwards that he had never thought of the benefit before, that all the women would be able to go to the nuns for counseling and help. He had never thought of that, and he thought, oh, that, you know, that would really be a great benefit. Of course, the presentation on Lachchen Gompa Rabsha was very controversial. Nobody particularly liked to hear that you know, their ordination also was given from mixed tradition. So there was all sorts of discussion about that. But, you know, enough discussion that they were made aware of, you know, that this, you know, yes. You know, so we had those 2 days with them, and then you know, we were eating meals at the canteen with the monks as well. So there were lots of discussions going on at mealtime as well, because Jampa she loves to talk, and she's articulate, and so she's talking to all the monks, and I'm sitting there, you know, looking sweet and polite, but, you know, never mind. Yeah. And then after the conference, we went to watch the debate, the annual debate session that the monks have, and now the nuns are having too, where the best nuns from each of the nunneries gather each year to debate each other. And so this year they were having it at Jamyang Chuling, one of the nunneries outside of Dharamsala. And this Jamyang Chuling, it was started by Venerable Lakshe Somo. Now she's not, you know, together with it, but she was the one who found this beautiful piece of land there. I mean, the campus is gorgeous with palm trees and very beautiful area. And there were more than 300 nuns there, because they had come representatives from the different nunneries debating, you know, out on the grass. And what I really enjoyed seeing was the monks and geshes, who were their teachers, were right there with them, debating with them, encouraging them, completely involved in it. So it was wonderful seeing the geshes who really believed in their students and were really supporting them. And then, of course, the enthusiasm of the nuns as they were, you know, debating together. Of course, they don't kind of yell and scream as much as the monks do. When Ruby and I were later at Sera Monastery, we watched the debates in the evening. And it's just amazing. I mean, the monks are literally pushing and shoving each other. One monk is screaming at the top of his lungs and jumping, and you know how they go, "Tsa!" And, you know, I'm just so animated and really emotional about the whole thing, and, you know, pushing the other ones away. So the nuns are definitely much more demure. Yeah, they, you know, polite, gently clap their hands and like that. Yeah, but it was really lovely to see that. Then we were also able to meet with Samdung Rinpoche, and he's the former prime minister before the recent change of prime ministers, and. So he is very supportive of this issue, and he had given a talk to the research committee when they first, on the first day. And Venerable Jampa actually had a transcript of that talk. So when we were riding, because Kingfisher Airlines didn't work, it's gone out of business, we lost our tickets, but one of her friends from Germany was driving up, so he very kindly gave us a ride. So the whole car ride, she was going through Samdang Rinpoche's address to the monks of all the points that he wants them to find and what is necessary, what they should look at. And she was so impressed with his letter because it very clearly outlined what was needed, you know, and so it inspired her too to look for certain information. So we had a chance to visit him and report to him, and and it was very nice. I was so surprised, kind of, this visit, because, being able to meet with him, and then also we were invited to meet with the Kalon, so the minister for religion culture, so that's a big deal. I was just Jampa's sidekick. She knows all the bigwigs. And then we went back another day for a half-a-day presentation because we had, Jampa had continued to do research. The week after we first met with him, His Holiness was teaching for 3 days, so I went to those teachings. Jampa stayed in the room doing research, and translating, because she's so into this. So she had found more information. So we went another morning to meet with him and share the further research. And again, it was well received, and the monks are busy writing their paper. I hear it's about 220 pages. And one brilliant thing about their research is they had started with looking at the Tibetan commentaries, and the Tibetan Vinaya commentaries had so many different opinions that they decided not to use them at all in their research, and instead just to rely on the Kangyur, the Buddha's words, in other words, the Vinaya itself, and the Tengyur, the major Indian commentaries from Gunaprabha, Dharmamitra, and others. So this was really, really good, because so many of the obstacles that we had heard about had actually come from Tibetan commentators. It was Sakya Pandita who said you can't have an ordination with members from different Vinaya traditions. But of course you don't find that in the Kangyur and Tengyur, because especially at the time the Buddha spoke, there weren't even different Vinaya traditions. Yeah, if you ask, did the Buddha teach the Mulasravastivada Vinaya? Well, he taught the Vinaya, that has become the Mulashavas and become the Dharmakaya and become the Theravada. But he never said, I'm teaching Mulashavastivada, because there weren't the 18 schools at the Buddha's time. Yeah, so I think it was really a good decision on their part just to rely on the Kangyur and Tengyur, and not the Tibetan commentaries that that came later. And I'm not quite sure on the decision-making process. It's unclear. The report will go to the DRC. I don't know who will make the final decision on this. It could be the meeting of abbots and rinpoches that they have every year. I really don't know how they're going to make a decision. My hope is that they circulate this document that the monks prepared widely in the monastic community, so that the monks can read it and think about it, and then wait to have whoever they figure out is going to make the decision, wait to have that committee meet and make the decision. Because I think it's much better when all of the monks are informed and they all see the reasons and the way to do it and the possibility of doing it, and they all get the feeling that everybody else is, ready to do it. Whereas if you push to do it quickly, I don't think that's a good idea. We're really working with a refugee culture that feels threatened by modernity, threatened by not having their own country, and so wants to hold the past and feels very insecure about changing anything, including, giving women the full ordination. So I think it's better, let them read, let them study, then finally, when everybody's ready, make a decision. That's my own personal opinion. Of course, I have no say in the matter. But that doesn't stop me from having opinions, does it? Okay, so I guess that's good for installment one of the trip. Yeah, you heard about the research and everything.